Hi and welcome to my Brain and Beyond channel. It's Joe, I'm a clinical psychologist, and today I'm talking about the impact of psychological problems or disorders on illness and disease. This is an area I'm really passionate about, and I want you to get excited about it too, because really it's the key to ultimate health and wellness, and it bypasses a lot of what we think is true as far as medicine and the management of disease, both physical and psychiatric.
It's a scientific fact that the hormones of stress downregulate genes and create disease, long-term effects. Human beings, because of the size of the neocortex, we can turn on the stress response just by thought alone. We can think about our problems and turn on those chemicals. That means then our thoughts could make us sick. So if it's possible that our thoughts could make us sick, is it possible then our thoughts could make us well? And the answer is absolutely yes.
Empirically, the psychomedical profession refers to this area of study as psychoneuroimmunology or health psychology or psychosomatic medicine or integrative medicine. But I and others refer to this area as energy psychology. It is a holistic and effective way to treat the whole person. The most simple way to consider this is we are electromagnetic beings, that we are comprised of flesh and bones and skin and organs, and that's the physical body. But we have a mind that has functions such as language, thought, metacognition, emotions, dreams, hopes and goals. We're going to call that the mind. So we've got the physical body, the mind, but we have this other part, and this part is pure energy. It is our cellular center. It is the conversion of food into kilojoules. It's the electrical energy that suggests a human at rest produces around 100 watts of power. It's the chemical energy of hormones, of neurotransmitters, of peptides. It's thermal energy, kinetic energy, and it is also a place where faith, spiritualism, and quantum medicine exist. So from this triad of human form, the physical, the mind, and the energy, we are finding that few in the medical and psychological profession are embracing or utilizing the latter. Perhaps because science has been restricted or unable to explore the true and infinite realm of energetic possibility. See, only at the start of the 20th century, through the likes of Albert Einstein's explanation of the photoelectric effect or Thomas Young's double slit experiment, did the field of quantum physics really begin to take birth. But today, 100 years later, we are only somewhat more informed about wave particle duality or quantum entanglement, quantum teleportation or quantum oscillation, all offering only peeks into possibilities of the quantum world. But we do know it's there. So in energy psychology, we are also seeing emerging curiosity, empirical inquiry and preliminary evidence for the effectiveness of techniques such as EFT, which is emotional freedom techniques, tapping, acupressure, energy manipulation, metaphysical connections between emotion and disease, and treatment of known bioenergy systems. Sometimes we call this the biofield or meridians. So I want to start sharing some specific strategies to help you heal both physically and psychologically, and help you overcome physical and emotional problems that are causing disease and unwellness in your body. So the energy flows down to the mind, which flows down to the body, and these three fields are intricately connected. I'll give you a couple of very basic general examples here, but obviously the way I would normally do this is I would be with you. I'd assess you and provide a much more individual and thorough reading and summary. So please don't accept what I'm about to talk to you as diagnostic or absolute. It's just an idea, a demonstration of how these fields interact, though the physical, the mind, and the energy overlap, influence each other, promoting wellness or fostering disease and pathology. So let's look at depression in those areas: physical, mind, and energy. So physical, presents with pains and aches, fatigue, headaches, digestive problems, and loss of energy. The metaphysical means these symptoms link to areas of the body such as the liver and the gallbladder in depression. The mind leads to emotional experience, and often it's anger or loss, resentment or shame. Now, when we look at the energy centers of depression, we have an energetic cooling. The body literally cools and slows down, hence the term depressed. And we need to warm the body up. So in psychology, we might do behavioral activation and get someone exercising, paradoxical activity to counterbalance how the person is feeling. So we're reconnecting here with our energy centers to the earth through techniques like grounding and mindfulness. We want to remove metallic toxins and heavy metals, and we want to focus on the feet, which is where movement starts. So feet and grounding, and you'll see how these things are linked. So that would be depression. Something like obesity. The physical side would be shortness of breath. There'd be sweating, there'd be pain, maybe joint discomfort. The metaphysical, this is leading into the thyroid gland, the adrenal gland, and the liver as well. The mind aspect would be emotions of fear, insecurity, possibly guilt-driven beliefs. Now the energy side of this, we need a cleansing and a balance. This is done through tasks such as validation, finding purpose and pleasure in life, self-love in obesity. And dietary things are simply removing trans fats, triglycerides, and looking at the core as the energy center. So the core area, and this is where it does overlap into more alternate terms like the chakra areas or the meridians or the biofield, but I want to keep this relatively science-based and empirical so I don't lose the skeptics amongst you. I'll give you two more examples. So let's say dementia. You know that dementia is one of my areas of clinical interest and personal experience. So in this triad of dementia and the physical mind energy centers, the physical is inflammation and the experience is problems with focus and concentration, maybe a brain fog and confusion. Metaphysically, we are actually looking not just at the brain but the pancreas, and if you're really interested, there is a lot of literature out there now about the correlations between diabetes and dementia and the production of insulin, but I will not go off on a tangent. Let's keep this focus. So the mind component is emotions that may be conducive of unfulfillment, disappointment or incoherence. So now bringing it into the energy center, we're looking at restoration. That is our focus in dementia, restoration. And if you think of what's happening organically in dementia, it is neurodegeneration. So the brain is literally starting to rot away. The term is atrophy. So it's starting to fall apart. It's literally dissolving in a way. So our energy focus is restoration, coherence. The energy center is the crown, and here of course dietary, I mentioned insulin and sugar, but dairy and meat are important contributing factors to neurotoxic effects of dementia and the accumulation of proteins in the brain. So we want to get rid of dairy and meat and look at the gut microbes. So some of the therapies I would be using are photobiomodulation, which is using color and light and sound, biomagnetism, and focusing on blood flow. So we're bringing those three things together. One more example, let's say multiple sclerosis. Keeping in mind, we can do this with any condition, but multiple sclerosis, the physical, vision, numbness, weakness, lack of balance, potentially bladder, bowel problems. Metaphysically, we're talking about the spleen and the central nervous system. The mind aspect is protection, thoughts of lack of safety or stress, worry, communication disruptions or inflexibility of the mind. Energetically, we're looking at this energy center to restore a sense of safety and calm. The core area is the heart when we're looking at MS. Dietary wise, glutamine, B12, vitamin D, which is also linked to immunity, and focusing on fine flow, de-arousal and hydration. When I'm dealing with things like multiple sclerosis or other forms of autoimmune conditions as well, I'm looking at environmental and neurotoxins, chemicals, pesticides, fungicides, DDTs, and removing the toxic element that would be impacting the brain at a cellular, neuronal level. There's some wonderful doctors and researchers out there doing so much work in this area now, and we know that cardiovascular disease, cancer, dementia, chronic disease, autoimmune conditions, and mental health, psychiatric conditions are increasing. We are not getting on top of them. Our current model is not working, or we would be seeing a significant reduction in these big killer ailments. And we're not. They're actually on the rise.
There are revolutionary techniques that can lead to radical improvements in chronic pain, stroke, various forms of brain damage, Parkinson's disease, multiple sclerosis, autism, attention deficit disorder, learning disorders, sensory processing disorder, developmental delays, Down syndrome, and even some forms of blindness. Here now to tell us how this is all possible, Dr. Norman Doidge. He's the author of the best-selling book, The Brain's Way of Healing. Let's just remind everybody the sort of key breakthrough idea of that book before we talk about your new one.
Sure. That was basically the discovery that the brain is not fixed. It's not like a hardwired machine, but the way it works is by changing its wiring. And the word that describes that property is neuroplasticity. And neuroplasticity means that the brain's structure and function can be changed by our activity, what we do, and by mental experience. It doesn't mean we can change everything about the brain, but it means we can change a lot more about it than we thought.
If neuroplasticity was the kind of buzzword of that first book, what's the one word of this book that sums it up?
I'd say there are two words. I'd say one of them is energy, using energy to facilitate neuroplastic change. And the second word is healing. For 100 years, doctors very rarely use the words healing and brain in the same sentence. For 100 years, doctors very rarely use the term healing and brain in the same sentence.
Diseases don't have to exist to this extent, and for the most part we can heal from them, or at the very least experience some recovery, some reversal, some management of the symptoms, or at least a plateauing. But you don't necessarily learn this from your doctor or your psychologist. I didn't even learn it in university, but now I know, and I want to share this information with you. And more medical and allied health professionals are embracing this information now too. Now this channel is relatively new and it's very small, but if I can help one person recover from a disease or diagnosis that they thought was chronic, terminal, or hopeless, then I will have served a significant purpose. I have so much to say on this topic, and for those people that are my patients, they know I get very passionate and excited about this, and that's because I know recovery is possible. But it's only possible through this triad and understanding that the human form is so intricately interconnected that we can't just treat in isolation. So stay with me and please support my work so together we can heal, we can thrive, we can change and evolve into a new era of medicine and optimal wellness and recovery. If you would like to know more, you can email me at energymedicine777@gmail.com, or you can look up where I work, and better still, come and see me one-to-one. Until then, take care of yourselves and each other and have a very happy and peace-filled day. Bye-bye.